Hoo boy, I really never thought it would be me posting in here. But here we are. I'm still trying to make sense of what's happened here, and this post is more me trying to get things straight in my head than getting any helpful advice. But I'm sure I'll get plenty of the latter. This just happened today, and it's totally caught me off guard. We've been together for 9 years, and I've got 2 adult children, as well as my partner's 2 children from her previous marriage who live with us 100%. Their father isn't present in their lives, and probably never will be. They call me dad and consider me their father, and I love them just as much as if they were my own kids. Having been through a messy separation, which affected my relationship with my biological kids, having these 2-step kids was completely unexpected and has been one of the best things that ever happened to me. Their mother and I both came from deeply flawed relationships, and we just clicked when we met, and I can honestly say that it's been the most perfect relationship, and until now, I literally could not think of anything about it that wasn't perfect. Yes, we've had our ups and downs and trials and tribulations, but we have always deeply valued our relationship and approached it with complete honesty, openness, and lack of judgment. We're 100% committed to each other, and both of us have never expressed a desire to step outside of our relationship. But we always agreed that if we ever did, we'd discuss it with each other first. We both had to fight together to make our relationship happen because of circumstances at the time that aren't relevant to this. Just that it wasn't something that fell into our laps, we had to work hard to make it happen. We have never willingly or knowingly kept anything from each other, including our past relationships and hookups. We understand these things happened before we met, and both of us have never felt threatened by them. My partner was pretty adventurous when they were younger, and they've remained in contact with some of those guys, and I honestly never had an issue with it. She's always been upfront to me, and she's the sort of person who makes friends with guys as easily as she does with the girls. So, she's from another country, and her parents and family still live there. Every few years, she goes back to visit her parents for a few weeks. Before they died, mine lived only a few hours away. So, I always encouraged her to visit hers when she could. She has many friends back there too, and I know she misses them very much. And it's almost impossible for any of them to visit us because of the expense. Basically, we live in a wealthy country, and they don't. For various reasons, the kids can't travel. It's simply not an option. So I play single parent for a few weeks, and works well for all of us. A bit more work for me, but nothing too dramatic. And I've been happy to do it because I loved her so much that it never seemed a chore. So before this trip, she spoke to one of her old hookups, whom she speaks to every few months. They haven't slept together for over 20 years, so the relationship has been platonic. And he knows all about me and knows that she's settled and happy and no longer on the market, so to speak. She's told him as much. Turns out he was planning on visiting home. Same country as she's from. He now lives on the other side of the world, and it was literally a coincidence, and not something either of them planned. She asked if I'd be okay with her meeting up with him, and I said yeah, I was okay with that. And also said that sleeping with him was something that would be totally unacceptable to me. She said she didn't even enjoy it much the time she did sleep with him, and she just liked his company and friendship. I also stressed to her that she owed it to the guy to let him know that she wouldn't be sleeping with him because it would be extremely unfair for him to have any expectations, and she should give him that courtesy and respect. She did explain that to him, at least she told me she did. He was also staying at a luxury hotel as he's extremely wealthy, and this also played on my insecurities. He'd offered for her to stay there, which she refused. She'd just meet him for dinner. I'll admit I was a little uneasy about this, but we'd built our relationship on trust and giving each other freedom to exist without requiring permission from each other. We're together because we choose to be together. However, I was also feeling that I would never do anything that would make her uneasy or suspicious of me. I felt that she would have to know that agreeing to meet this guy under these circumstances would make me feel uneasy. She asked about this, and I said I trusted her, which I honestly did. But at the same time, I'd never subject her to the same treatment. I'd politely turn down my ex and say, sorry, but I don't think it would be appropriate for us to meet up like this. After the strictness and control of her previous marriage, and seeing her blossom and grow when she was given her chance to be herself, I never wanted to be the type of partner to put conditions and restrictions on her. I said quite clearly no sleeping with him. I simply wouldn't tolerate that. Also, she didn't have to tell me any of her plans because I'd be none the wiser. She could just as easily have organized this behind my back, but she didn't. She let me know. I'll give her credit for that. Fast forward to last night. Her messages and phone calls during the previous day had been briefer, less frequent, and just different. I knew she was meeting the guy around these few days because they're at the end of the trip, but although she'd been very specific about her timetable up till now, she hadn't been the past few days. It just felt different. But I didn't think much about it until later. She often gets busy towards the end of her trips home, as she tidies up last-minute commitments and chores. So, the both of us share our location on Google Maps. As busy parents, we've always done it because we can just see where the other is at. It's never been a control or suspicion thing, just a convenience and safety thing. When she's back home, her internet is patchy and she often disables data due to the expense and just uses free Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi at her parents' place. Before going to bed, I always send a good night message, and she nearly always returns it. But sometimes she's busy and doesn't. All good. Because she'd been less informative the past few days, I checked her location and could see she was at the luxury hotel the guy was planning to stay at. Okay, I thought. So she's catching up with him, that's fine, and I went to sleep. There's a few hours time difference. She's a few hours behind me. In the morning, I get up and there's no good night message. Unusual. She nearly always sends one before she goes to sleep. Check the location. Is she home safe? What? She's still there at the hotel. Check during the day. She's still there till 10 a.m. her time. Finally, see her dot on the road back to her parents' place. Could see it moving. Wait for the good morning message. Nothing. Get something later in the day, which was not her usual style. Had a very busy and stressful day because of other shoot going on. Finally get home and message her to call me. She does, and I tell her about my day. Ask how her day is, what she's been up to. She said she'd met one of her friends, but didn't mention the guy. So I asked, have you met XYZ, the guy, yet? And she replies, oh yeah, a couple of times, a bit vaguely. I said I'd seen her location at the hotel all night. She said, no. I said, don't lie, I saw it. And she said something about her internet being patchy, and I repeated, I saw you at the hotel all night, and she says, we'll talk about it when I get home. Wow. So she admits it, but she swore she never slept with him. Said she had too many drinks and wasn't okay to go home. That's nonsense because she has access to a personal driver that she uses when she goes back home. I said it wasn't that fact, it was that she straight up lied to my face. We never lie to each other. I would never lie to her, and she's never lied to me that I know of. It was the lie that ended the life of me. Honestly, I didn't really care if she slept with him at that point. The lie was like a knife through my heart, and I'm shaking just writing this. I said I was too angry to talk to her, so I hung up. She called straight back, and I dropped the call, then messaged that I was too angry to speak, and I would not be answering her calls or reading her messages. Then I had to make dinner, clean, and put the kids to bed. I'm about to post this, and I probably won't be checking back for another 10 to 12 hours. I am just so hurt and sad and can't believe we had such a great thing going between us. And she would do this for what? Don't worry about me doing anything harmful. I'm angry, but I'm also in control. I'm upset, but I'll be okay. And I have good people to support me if I need it. I just don't know if I can go on with this relationship, knowing the trust has completely evaporated. And I feel I can never trust her word again. If the worst does happen, I can guarantee my stepkids will still be my #1 priority. I love them like my own, and I will fight for what is best for them. I'm going to message her now and say, I'm still hurt and angry, but if she calls, I will pick up. I'll see what she has to say. Sorry for the long post. It's been necessary for me to put it into words, and indeed, it has made me feel better. I'll try to answer any questions tomorrow. Question. She arrives back home in a few days, and I honestly don't know what to do. And before you say, lawyer up, forget it. We both have detailed agreements, like a prenup, that sets out what's what in the event of a breakup. We've both been stung before, so we did this to protect ourselves if ever the need arises. Never thought I'd be using it. We will be amicable if it comes to that. How do I come back from this? How do I trust her with anything she says or does in the future? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You don't trust her in the future. It's over. Tell her that. Ask her where her kids are going since she decided to cheat. Tell her that you had a boundary, she broke it, it's over. There's no repairing this. In fact, I'd probably tell her to get on the next plane, because the kids need somewhere to stay. You took the only dad they knew away, so you better be ready to move in with your frick buddy around the world. I'd question every solo trip she's ever taken at that point, and tell her there's no rebuilding trust. All you did was lie to me, and then say we would talk about it when you got home. Better be getting home early. Comment 2. TLDR, my partner spent the night at a hotel with an ex and lied to me about it. TLDR, my partner cheated on me at a hotel with an ex and lied to me about it. There you go, bud. Fix that for you. You know what needs to be done now? Dump and run, bro. She's checked out and still has feelings for ex-lover boy over there. For her to cheat with a person from eons ago that she had to dust off from the past speaks of how little she thinks of you. Begin to look out for yourself and leave her. Now for the update. Thank you for sticking around for this update. Since my last post, things have gone from bad to worse. She came back from her trip and the tension was like a thick fog in our house. We sat down to talk and she confessed to more than just staying at the hotel. She admitted to kissing him but swore that was all that happened. I wanted to believe her, but the trust was shattered. In the midst of this, my stepkids started acting out. The oldest got into a fight at school, and the youngest became withdrawn. I was juggling my own heartbreak, trying to keep the family afloat, and dealing with the kids' issues. It was like a pressure cooker waiting to explode. Then, the betrayal I never saw coming. My best friend, who's been like an uncle to my stepkids and a brother to me, sat me down. He told me he had seen my partner and her old hookup together, looking way too cozy, a day before she admitted to the kiss. He'd been wrestling with whether to tell me, but he couldn't keep it to himself any longer. I was floored. Not only had my partner lied, but my best friend had kept this from me. The two people I trusted most had let me down. I felt like a fool for being the last to know, and the anger and betrayal consumed me. I confronted my partner again, and this time, she broke down. She confessed to sleeping with him. She said it was a mistake, that she'd been feeling nostalgic and he'd been persuasive. It was a one-time thing, but that didn't matter. The damage was done. I had to make a choice for myself and the kids. I decided to take a stand. I told her that I needed space to think and that she should stay with a friend for a while. It was the hardest decision I've ever made, but I had to show my stepkids that actions have consequences. The kids were confused and hurt. They didn't understand why their mom was suddenly gone. I had to sit them down and explain that sometimes adults make mistakes and need time to think about their actions. I reassured them that no matter what, I was there for them. In the following weeks, I focused on the kids and myself. I took them to counseling, and we started to heal as a family. My partner tried to reach out, but I wasn't ready to talk. I needed to figure out if I could ever forgive her, or if it was time to move on. The house felt empty without her, but it also felt like a place of honesty for the first time in a long time. I realized that I had to be strong for my stepkids, who had already been through so much abandonment in their lives. As for my best friend, our relationship is strained. I appreciate that he came forward, but I can't help but feel betrayed by his initial silence. It's something we'll have to work through, but right now, my priority is my family. The kids are slowly adjusting to the new normal. They miss their mom, but they're resilient. They've seen me at my lowest, and we've come together as a team. It's not easy, but we're getting through it one day at a time. I'm not sure what the future holds for my relationship. Right now, I'm taking it one step at a time, focusing on rebuilding the trust within myself and with my stepkids. They need stability, and I'm determined to give it to them, no matter what. Thank you for reading. Fiancé bets he can trick me into a prenup using his ex's looks. So I dump him at the altar and take his best man as my +1 to support my wrongly accused brother. My fiancé Marcus proposed to me 2 weeks ago, and obviously from the title of this post, I said yes. We met during our 3rd year of law school at a bar that wasn't very far from our university's campus. It was meant to be just a one-night stand, but we decided to take things further in the morning, and we started dating. Some semi-relevant information is that I'm South Asian, but I'm on the lighter side. So some people think I'm white until I say my name. Last night we had a small engagement party with both of our friend groups at our apartment. It was a fun night with us just drinking, shooting the shoot, and recalling moments from when we first started officially dating. That is until Marcus's friend Brian pulled me to the side when everyone was starting to head home and we were cleaning up. Brian said he felt like there was something I should know before I get married to my fiancé. Brian confessed that Marcus told him when we first met that I looked almost identical to his high school sweetheart, Sophie, who broke up with him shortly after graduating college. Apparently, my fiancé essentially did a double take once he first saw me because he thought I was Sophie. Marcus only wanted to date me so he could work his feelings for her out of his system. After that happened, Marcus would dump me and wipe his hands clean of the situation. One of the things that he said to Brian was that my race spoiled the fantasy a bit. But since I looked so pale, it was easier to pretend I was white like Sophie. Marcus did eventually legitimately fall for me and ditched his initial plan. But for the first 4 months of our relationship, he imagined that I was his ex. Brian said that I can do whatever I wish with this information, but I should give serious thought as to whether Marcus and I should get married. He left after that, and I was left alone with Marcus in the apartment. Marcus went to bed after everyone was gone, since he drank more than me. I stayed in the living room for hours, just thinking over what Brian told me, until I eventually went to our bedroom and got 3 hours of sleep in. I want to hope that Brian is just lying to stir up drama, but there's no reason for him to, considering it would hurt him more to lie and being caught doing so. Besides, I looked up pictures of Sophie on Instagram and yep, we do essentially look identical. We both have short dark hair, round eyes, light skin, and a long nose. I've always wanted to try to grow my hair, but Marcus always said he liked me with short hair better. I feel sick over that now, knowing what I know. Marcus just thinks my weird behavior is just because I have a headache. He's out right now to get ibuprofen from the drugstore and fast food for us. I haven't told him what Brian revealed to me yet. I just want some advice on how to deal with this because I'm totally lost right now. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. In my opinion, this was supremely disrespectful of Brian. If he was going to tell you this, the time would have been the first 4 months when Marcus was stringing you along. Now he's thrown a grenade into your relationship after 3 years together. I wouldn't rule out him lying honestly. If he has secret feelings for you or secretly hates you, that would be motivation to break you up. The only way to move forward is to tell your fiancé what he revealed and go to couples counseling. That way you can figure out the real truth and decide if you feel safe continuing to marriage. Comment 2. I think it's worth asking Marcus if it's true. I definitely wouldn't tell him who told you, but see what he says. I know that people think Brian has ulterior motives, but then I think back to how many posts I've seen on here where someone knows something that one person should know, but doesn't. Truthfully, I'd be happy if someone told me the truth before I made a life-changing decision. I wouldn't be mad at Brian, but I'd want my fiancé to give some answers, because if he was going to intentionally use you, yuck. That's not something a good person does. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around. So, the day after the engagement party, I was still reeling from what Brian told me. I didn't say anything to Marcus, just kept it all bottled up. But then, my best friend, who was at the party, called me. She said she needed to talk about something important that happened that night. We met up at a coffee shop, and she looked really nervous. She told me that while everyone was having a good time, she overheard Marcus talking to one of his buddies. He was bragging about how he had me wrapped around his finger, how he could get me to do anything he wanted. He even made a bet with his friend that he could get me to sign a prenup without any fuss, just by sweet-talking me. I felt like such a fool, just sitting there, sipping my coffee, feeling my heart sink. I didn't know what to do. I felt like I was getting walked all over, and I was just letting it happen. I thanked my friend for telling me and went home to an empty apartment because Marcus was out with his friends. I spent the night alone, feeling like a doormat. The next day, I decided to confront Marcus. I asked him straight up about the prenup bet. At first, he tried to laugh it off, but I wasn't having any of it. He finally admitted it was true, but said it was just a stupid joke. I didn't buy it. We had a huge fight, and I told him I needed some space to think. While I was trying to clear my head, I got a call from my mom. She was upset because she had just found out that my younger brother had been arrested for something he didn't do. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and now he was paying the price. I felt like my whole world was falling apart. I went to see my brother, and he was so scared. I promised him I'd do everything I could to help him. It was then that I realized I had to start standing up for myself and the people I care about. I went back to Marcus and told him the wedding was off. He was shocked, tried to apologize, to make excuses, but I was done. I told him I couldn't marry someone who saw me as a bet or a stand-in for someone else. I moved out of our apartment and went to stay with my parents. It's been a tough few days, but I'm starting to feel like I made the right decision. I'm focusing on helping my brother now, and I'm not letting anyone walk all over me anymore. Thanks for reading. My husband cheats with his boss's wife and my cousin, then drains our savings. So I serve him divorce papers and watch him lose everything. A few days ago, my husband's boss, close friend, called him late at night, yelling at him because he found some incriminating messages between Leo and the boss's wife. I couldn't hear the whole conversation because he left the room. My husband denied everything. He said that his boss was a crazy, jealous person, he was having trouble with his wife, Gina, and that they were innocent messages. I believed him and was defending him. Later that week, the boss called me to explain everything and send me proof. Basically, Leo and Gina have been texting nonstop, sending each other pictures and Snapchats. The messages are about random things, flirting, and they said that they couldn't stop thinking about each other. Some messages had double meaning, alluding to him being crazy about her body/vagina. Also, during my conversation with the boss, he mentioned my husband Leo cheating with Gina's cousin Carla about a year ago, like 6 months after we got married. I thought he was trying to break up my marriage, so I asked to talk to the cousin Carla. I called Carla and she said that she is so hurt because Leo, my husband, dumped her. And now she finds out that he is having an affair with Gina. She knew Leo was married, but she thought it was for papers. My husband Leo was an undocumented immigrant when we met about 3 years ago. We have been married for about 1.5 years now. Carla said that in her mind, it wasn't possible that he had a true marriage because she and Leo were texting all the time, sending each other pictures and sometimes talking late at night. My husband is a construction worker, and sometimes he leaves for the weekend for jobs, or he is just working all day. Carla said that she was really into him. She mentioned so many things that would be impossible to know if they were not very close together. She said that after they were intimate, he disappeared. My husband still denies everything. He erased his Snapchat account and all messages. I feel like I'm supposed to forgive him. I'm already in my 30s. I really want to have a family. I'm also a Christian. I kicked him out of the house, and I miss him already. I also feel part of this is my fault because I didn't give my 100%. I'm not very affectionate. I don't have a lot of intimacy with him. And I gained some weight, like 15 lbs. We used to eat out a lot, but we stopped because we were saving money to buy a house. Most of the money in savings is coming from me, though. His car loan is also in my name. Sometimes he wants to go to clubs to dance, but that doesn't fit with my values. He likes music that I find very vulgar, and that has caused arguments in the relationship. He goes to church with me sometimes on Sundays, but I know that's something he doesn't really want to do. I love him, but sometimes he makes me feel not so pretty or desired. He is always on his phone, and I have caught him looking at videos of other women. He is always on TikTok or Instagram. I tried to go to therapy with him, but he thinks it's a joke. It was a little hurtful, too, because therapy is in my line of work. I want to forgive him, but how can I know he won't do this again? Even if he agrees to go to therapy, I'm afraid that this will always be in the back of my mind. How can I know if he won't just get better at hiding the cheating? Or that he will stop cheating and then, if we have a baby, and I gain some weight or can't have intimacy with him during postpartum, he won't do it again? I read once that people who cheat usually cheat again. Who knows if he had more affairs, picture sharing with other women, or flirting than these two women. The rational part of me says, don't forgive him, girl. But the other part of me really wants to take him back. Also, if we get divorced, that might affect his immigration status. He already has the green card, but might have trouble if he wants to renew it in the future. Should we divorce? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Bruh, this man cheated on you and lied to your face, and you're worried about his status? No idiots here, girl. You need some self-respect and wake up. Realize that this will be your life if you stay with him. Do you really want to bring up children with a man who's a cheater? No, thank you. You would be teaching those kids to suck it up and take it. You would be doing a disservice to children if you had them with him. It sounds like he just wanted that green card from you. He's getting his cake and eating it, and you're letting him. You need to seek advice from a divorce and immigration lawyer ASAP. If you end up stuck taking care of him while he gets to cheat, please seriously consider therapy to get to the bottom of your low self-esteem. As soon as I was off the phone with Carla, I would have been hitting him with divorce. As for his boss, at least he has the decency to call you and tell you with proof. Where's that proof from your husband? He is innocent? Oh, wait, there isn't any. Comment 2. Why do you like this man? I can't find a single redeeming quality in what you wrote. He has treated you like garbage, yet you blame yourself? Get rid of him. He's a leech. There is someone out there who respects your values and respects you. And it isn't this guy. He's occupying the spot where someone you deserve should be. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around to hear more of this mess. So, after I kicked Leo out, I thought that would be the end of it. But no, life had to throw another curveball my way. Turns out, the money I thought we were saving for a house, Leo had been dipping into it for months. And not just for any old thing. He was using it to impress Gina, buying her gifts, fancy dinners, you name it. The bank statements were right there, mocking me with every transaction. And as if that wasn't enough, I got a call from the bank about the car loan. The one in my name, remember? Leo had stopped making payments, and now they were coming after me. I was furious, to say the least. I had to scramble to sort that out before it hit my credit score like a wrecking ball. But wait, there's more. Remember Carla, Gina's cousin? She showed up at my doorstep crying, saying she was pregnant with Leo's child. I didn't want to believe her, but she had the texts and the ultrasound to prove it. My world, already shaken, started to crumble. I confronted Leo, and this time, he couldn't deny it. He begged for forgiveness, said it was a mistake, that he didn't mean for any of this to happen. But how do you accidentally create a whole other life? I wasn't buying it. I told him he needed to take responsibility for his actions, for once. The next day, I got a visit from Gina. She was a wreck, saying her marriage was over and it was all my fault for exposing the affair. I couldn't help but feel a twinge of satisfaction seeing her in that state, but it was short-lived. She threatened to sue me for alienation of affection, claiming I was the reason her marriage fell apart, as if I had been the one sending those messages. I was at my wit's end. Between the financial mess, the emotional turmoil, and now legal threats, I felt like I was in a never-ending nightmare. I decided to take action. I gathered all the evidence I had, the bank statements, the texts, everything, and I went to see a lawyer. I needed to protect myself, financially and legally. The lawyer was a godsend. He helped me freeze the joint accounts and start the process for divorce. He also dealt with Gina, making it clear that her threats were baseless and that if anyone was going to court, it would be Leo for the mess he'd made. As for the house, well, that dream was gone. I had to start over, but at least I was free from the lies and the cheating. Leo tried to contact me, to plead his case, but I was done. I blocked his number, his social media, everything. It was time to focus on myself, to heal and to rebuild. Thanks for listening to my venting. It's been a rough few days. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive, and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.